Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Thank you for stopping by. Well, coming again today, you're very, very welcome. How great to see everybody here. I trust you enjoyed my last video on the Imperials. And through this song, Let the Wind Blow, we looked at the things that we feel but we can't see. So I trust you found that one encouraging, just for something completely different. Well, we're going from there to 1977 in Sydney. I'm a little bit excited today because we're looking at, over the next two videos, one of the biggest bands Australia has ever produced. And so very excited to be able to look at these guys today. There was a bit of toing and froing with a few duos and trios before these got together, but got the Farriss brothers, Andrew, Tim and John, Gary Beers, Kirk Pinkbelly and Michael Hutchence. And when you put those guys together, you know, you got the band INXS. Now, INXS is a bit of a combination of a couple of different acronyms. It was Midnight Oil, apparently, that thought, hey, we don't like your current name, let's give you a new name. And INXS is what it was. Now, INXS has been a worldwide phenomenon. Not bad for a band from Australia, absolutely. Of course, Michael Hutchence is quite well known as the indelible front man, and he did leave us a little while back, much to the shock of Australia and the world. But when he was up front, he completed INXS. But put him aside for a second, we've got some incredible songwriting happening here, some incredible musicianship for these guys to realise they're one of the best bands in the world when they were going around. And they absolutely made the most of that fact. But it started off a bit quietly for these guys. They thought we were getting to the whole new wave pop thing, which is certainly what was starting to happen around the late 1970s. Disco was kind of starting to die a little bit, and something else had to take over. And then you get bands like Duran Duran in the 1980s that introduced this concept of new wave into the world. New wave and kind of ska is where they started. A couple of albums, 1980, we had the album INXS, 1981, Underneath the Covers. And those two albums didn't kind of do so well, but it was in 1981 that these guys performed 300 times in that year. And from that point on, these guys were seen as a pretty amazing live act. Very, very good indeed. What they could do in the studio, they could do on stage. And so that well and truly established their credibility, not just in Australia, but worldwide, as a force to be reckoned with. There's just such a complete band. When there's six of you on stage, including a guy who can play saxophone just to add a bit of depth to the sound, you know, it's a pretty big sound INXS have actually got. Progressive, almost verging, dare I say it, on progressive pop in certain ways. So they're starting to get a bit of credibility at this point as an incredible live act, and the songwriting was starting to get pretty good, but they're still finding their niche with their songwriting, trust me on that one. In 1982, out came the album Shabu Shabar, and that got to number 52 on the Billboard charts. So well and truly, these guys were starting to get noticed worldwide. And the song, one of my favourite songs actually of INXS is Don't Change. And, you know, here you start to see how incredible the guitar work is, just how complete they are, how complete the sound is. And when you put Michael Hutchence vocals in there with some backup vocals as well, you've got pretty big sound. Don't Change is absolute rock heaven, really. I love the song. Don't Change is pretty huge. And probably where I want to go today before we go on a little bit more about INXS. Don't change a thing for me. So really, on the outset, really what this song is saying is, hey, look, I love you just as you are. You don't need to change a thing for me. You might think you need to change, but you don't need to change. Don't change a thing. Don't change your appearance. Don't change your mindset. Don't change how you deal with your emotions. Don't change a thing. So on the surface, a pretty cool thing to be able to say something. I just love you just the way you are. You know what though? The cynic in me is coming up a little bit and saying, is that what we really think deep down in the very centre of who we are? Because if you're saying don't change a thing, that's implying you're absolutely comfortable with the person, absolutely, completely. We don't need to look. We don't need to make any comments whatsoever, which implies that in the deep down in the middle of who we are, the center of who we are, our inner thoughts are also saying the same thing. Because it's one thing to say, not say don't change, it's another thing to think don't change. And so if that's the case, awesome and amazing. But I do wonder whether, as human beings, whether we're actually capable of seeing a person in such puristic light as that. We always look for something we can tweak, something we can change, something we can alter. You think if this person just did this and just a little bit more, things would be absolutely perfect. Of course, another way of looking at this way, and there is always another way of looking at that is, hey, look, as you just talk generally about things, and you know what, and you think, well, actually, you're not asking me to change, but just for the sake of you and all the rest of it, I reckon I can just tweak this a little bit and just tweak that a little bit, because you know what, we want this relationship to be amazing, and two people can't go into a relationship and as they were, there's certain changes and alterations that need to happen, because one minute you weren't with someone and now you were, and so there's certainly lots of changes that happen internally in you. Now you might not actually know what they are, and you just find yourself thinking differently about something. Well, if you think differently about anything, that's change. So change can often be seen as a bad thing. Like, as human beings, we don't like change, really, do we? But if we think about it in a positive light, if change is for the better, well, why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't we want to make life even better than it is already? It could be some things about us that we haven't changed for years and we've needed to. And it's actually been holding us back. And we're thinking, well, I don't want to change that bit. But, when a compelling reason comes along, we do make changes, don't we? Often if there's a reason to change, we'll change. If there's no reason to change, we normally stay as we are. So the argument always is that, if you're in this situation where you don't need to change, think about things you can change anyway, because we can always improve ourselves and enhance ourselves and make us better human beings. So don't change is it's a beautiful ideal, actually. To say to someone, hey, don't change a thing for me. Change for yourself, mind you, but don't change for me. It's a beautiful thing to be able to say to somebody. But at the same time, we should never be imposing change on other people. Certainly, there's little kind of suggestions you can make in love and care and all the rest of it. But when they're really big, massive changes, the person's just got to be ready for it. But at the same time, always look at an opportunity to make changes internally ourselves, because you know what? We can't stay the same as we are all of our life. There needs to be changes and enhancements as time goes on. So trust you find that one encouraging. Great song by INXS, absolutely amazing. Out in 1984 came the album The Swing, and this changed everything. I mean, we already had some pretty amazing songs, by the way, I've got a live version of Don't Change. This album changed everything for INXS with the song Original Sin, Dream on White Girl, Wake Up to a Brand New Day. I mean, these lyrics are just so well known. This was a #1 hit. Very, very successful song indeed. In fact, most of the world met INXS through this song. And it's just an incredibly produced song, this one, about what INXS is actually capable of. There's such a complete sound that they are. And so we've got the official clip on Original Sin. Of that same album, we got I Sent a Message, Hope It Gets Through. We've got a live version of that one. As I've already said, INXS is as good in the studio, well, I should say as good at live as they are in the studio. And this is what's made INXS such a force of nature. Of course, Michael Hutchence just carries the whole thing. But you've got to have a good band behind you to be able to support all that. Of course, the incredible songwriting as well. So we've got a live version of I Sent a Message. Now, we would have thought that would have been it for INXS, but no, it just kept getting better and better. In fact, this next album, absolutely huge. Number 3 in Australia, number 11 in the USA. Listen Like Thieves. This is INXS in their absolute heyday. They must have their songwriters must have been on just a really good, in a really good group, because the songs just kept coming over and over it again. And Listen Like Thieves is absolutely massive for these guys. We've got 3 songs off this album. We've got This Time Is the Last Time We Will Fight Like This, a bit of a declaration, hey, let's just get over ourselves and move on. We got Climbing Down the Mountain, Kiss the Dirt. I love how this song changes halfway through. Live version of This Time, by the way. We get pretty incredible drum fill happening, and the guitar just really getting into it. This is the thing I love about INXS, is their production. The production is absolutely amazing. And, you know, we really and truly start to see, particularly through the guitar work, the rock sound coming through. Absolutely. So we've got an official version of Kiss the Dirt. But when Listen Like Thieves came out, they thought, hey, what we need a bit of a killer track. We don't really have one yet. Kiss the Dirt's all right. This time ain't bad, but we need a killer track. We need something with a bit of grunt and a bit of oomph with it. So they came up with What You Need, an absolute classic INXS in their absolutely songwriting production glory. So because of that, we've got official and live version of What You Need below. So Listen Like Thieves was an absolutely massive album for INXS, number 3 in Australia, number 11 in the US, and these guys were actually at this point a worldwide force of nature. So as promised, because we have got 7 clips in the description below already, and we've included the last video from the Imperials, so if you want to recap on them, feel free. Such complete difference between those two. Welcome to the Life Reflections Through Music channel. So I'm going to just finish the INXS story there. So it's pretty incredible, traumatic things to come in the INXS story, but also some pretty amazing songs, including one of my favourite songs of all time is coming up. So next time we'll go into a bit more of their career, and we'll look at their accolades, the number of albums they've had, all that sort of stuff. So until then, I'll catch you around. Bye for now.